entering in what is called the schoolhouse circle, 1870s. This is actually the first school here at Battle Creek, where it started with 8 students, and by the end of that semester it had turned to 22 students. As you can look around, you can see these are actually the original desk and chair, and right beside me, this instrument was used in times like these when it got very cold. They would chop the wood and put it inside, and this would provide the heating to the building. Education is very important for the Seventh-day Adventist Church. We are known in the world for providing Christian-based education. If we can look on the wall to this side, we would see the picture of Mr. Bell. This is the original picture of Mr. Bell. He was actually the first teacher in this first school. This chair was actually invented, and you can see how it opens up, was actually invented by the first editor of the publishing house, Mr. Uriah Smith. Over to this side, we have some of the books that was used to teach the students. We have sketches of the Bible Child Life, Bell's Language Series, Bible Lessons, Sabbath School. And so this is where it all began. Right here in this room, at this place, where education, Christian-based education actually began. We have the bells here. Of course, these were used to, this bell, call the students from outside, and this one to get the attention of the students while in class. We believe, from Following the Blueprint Ministry, in this Christian-based education. This is the inspiration that we take as we look forward even to establishing our school today, Mount Carmel Present Truth Institute. Christian-based education is still the way to go as we prepare to transition from time to eternity. We're about to enter into the publishing office. This is very significant, as Ellen G. White is known as the most widely translated author in the world. Right in this place began many of the printing of the very writings, prophecies, and publications that the world still benefit from today. I'm actually standing in the original editor's office here in Battle Creek, where the books that we enjoy so much today were actually edited, printed in this very house that we are in. Matter of fact, I'm holding in my hand one of the original great controversies, and I'm going to show you in just a minute on the machine that this book was produced on in the 18th century. If you can look, you will see it's not like the printing machines we have today that's quicker and more efficient. This was labor intensive. Here you could see this was what was moved up and down to print the materials. Here is what they would call a plate that would have the characters that would be needed. A plain paper would be used to copy what was here with a roll of ink. I'll just show you very quickly how this was all done. This would contain the ink, and on this slab here you would have the characters, and the plain paper would be used to press gently here, and the ink would roll that character onto that plain piece of paper. And it's interesting to note that each page would probably take about 10 minutes to be completed. And here we have the great controversy with several hundreds of pages. That's labor intensive. I'm holding in my hand one of the original books that was printed, made in this house on this machine. The great controversy between Christ and Satan. I'm actually upstairs in the actual house where Ellen White and her husband and her boys lived and stayed here at Battle Creek. I just entered into the actual room of Ellen White. This is actually the bed that she slept on. This is actually, as you are seeing here, the Bible that she once held with one hand open for 5 minutes while she was in vision. And I can tell you, it is quite heavy, as you can see, and I doubt that I would be able to actually hold this up open with both sides open as it is for 5 minutes. The angels had strengthened her in that hour as she was in vision. That was actually supernatural. This, as we can see, is actually the actual handwriting of Ellen G. White, a letter that she had written to her husband. We can see that it's dated 1860. This is actually her handwriting, and she would sit at this place where she would write when she had gotten her visions from the Lord with the help of the angel. I'm walking in the actual kitchen space where Ellen G. White would prepare meals for her family. Right here, you would have where the meals would be prepared, and it's kind of antique to us in 2024. But this was where you would have meals being prepared, where there would be the baking. All right. Woods would be chopped. Woods would be chopped here and placed in the fire for heat, for cooking, for baking. Over this side, where you would have the pantry, you know, flour, food stuff was stored. And very important, you can see down in this area, it would almost be like a well. Almost like it would be a well where the water would be stored, captured from the rain. And over on this side would be where the pump is. Pump up the water, the sink, where washing would take place. Right? So very simple, primitive to us today, but right here meals will be prepared by Ellen G. White, prophet of God, family, wife, human being. I'm seated at the actual table where Ellen White and her husband James White and the 4 boys, her sons, would be seated for breakfast. They would have breakfast 6:30 or 6 a.m. thereabout in the morning, and it would be happy conversations. She would ask, what did you dream in the night? What fun dreams did you have? There was never accepted at the breakfast table any sad news or heavy weighed down story. It was a happy moment as she had breakfast with her family. I'm actually standing in James White's room. Actually, James White had his room separate from his wife, Ellen White, because in the night when she sleeps, she would have a lot of dreams and she would get up in the very early morning to write. And so they actually had separate rooms. This is the bed of James White, and you can see his side table, chair, and even old books from that time. I'm standing in the room of the sons of Ellen White. You can see right here the original toys that the boys would play with, right? And the bed on which they would sleep. As we step out, you can see right at this desk is where Ellen White, after her vision at a funeral for hours, as God showed her the great controversy, she sat right here and wrote the book, The Great Controversy. With much sickness, much struggle as the devil fought her, she would write a page, half a page, as the brethren would pray for her. And sometimes when rest was needed, instead of taking that laborious walk upstairs, Ellen White would come and rest right here in the boys' room. I'm standing here today at a very historical site at the Oak Hill Cemetery here in Michigan. We have the graves of some of our greatest pioneers of Seventh-day Adventism. Ellen White and her husband and her sons, and even to the back we have the great John Kellogg. All of these individuals play a very pivotal role in the establishment of Seventh-day Adventism. Battle Creek Sanitarium, the publishing house, and the early fundamental work which was builded on the prophetic visions of Ellen G. White, who died in July 1915. Spent some 60 plus years ministering to the Seventh-day Adventist Church, to the world. And today we stand on the shoulders of these giants of Seventh-day Adventism, and we await the coming, the second coming of Jesus Christ, which is imminent.
Ellen G. White is the most widely translated American author. Her works have been published in more than 140 languages. With only 3 grades of formal schooling, she left behind 100,000 pages of handwritten manuscript on a wide variety of topics. Guided by 2,000 dreams and visions, she exalted scripture as the basis of her faith. The Millerite movement between 1840 and 1844 and her early visions formed the foundation of her theology and ministry.